Hi, my name's Rikka Brandon. I'm the Chief Executive Recruiter of Building Gurus. I've been a recruiter since 2001, and I focus on building product manufacturers and distributors, and I help them find people that can really deliver a strong ROI, like sales and leadership people. And I just wanted to take a minute to share my experience with Andy Whitehead and Recruitment Marketing International and the $1 Million Recruiter. I have been a traditional recruiter and kind of an oddball traditional recruiter for most of my career. I started with a national contract working as a third-party firm, and I fell in love with building products recruiting. And in 2003, I started my first firm, and I grew very rapidly to 15 recruiters doing $1 million in sales a year, and hated my job. So I was 29 years old, had a $1 million recruiting firm, and hated it. Fortunately or unfortunately, when the market crashed, so did my business. So I went from $1 million business to bankrupt in 15 months. And looking back with the benefit of hindsight, I can tell it's because I had no systems and no processes, and everything was completely dependent on luck. And as you can imagine, it soured me a little bit on traditional recruiting. So I partnered with my director of business development, and we went just the two of us, lean and mean. And I hunkered down. And for the next few years, when the housing market recovered in the United States, I just kept my clients I'd had forever. I had some babies that I'd never had time for with my big company that sucked all my time, energy, and life and paid me very little. And so I played small for several years, and I got really burnt out. I didn't have any new clients coming in. I was just waiting for my old clients to tell me they needed something, and then I was scrambling to fill it. I do not cold call. I know, you're like a recruiter who doesn't cold call. You're an anomaly. Absolutely true. But I don't. I'm terrified of it. I'm terrified of the rejection, which is ridiculous if you know me, because I'm exceedingly outgoing. However, I struggle to be like, hey, you know what? I'm Rikka and I'm great at this, and you should pay me tens of thousands of dollars to find someone to hire. Yeah, no, I couldn't ever do it. And so I decided, okay, I have to be done with recruiting. I'm so over it. I'm checked out. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the BS with contingency. I'm sick of the feast and famine that is recruiting. And so I decided I was going to build an online business and never have to talk to anyone. It was going to be awesome. I was going to make tons of money online. And I know some of you watching totally get that, where you're like, oh, it's easy. Here's your quick way to $1 million. And I worked my ass off on that secondary business for about 18 months and got nowhere. And, I started to think, God, I love recruiting. I'm just sick of the bullshit, right? I mean, the act of recruiting excites me and enlivens me, and I'm really good at it. It's just that, I can't stand waiting for clients to come to me. And so, anyway, I was sort of, hemming and hawing and really, frankly, feeling like a huge failure because I couldn't get anything to work. And I happened to see a random ad for the $1 Million Recruiter. I don't know, somehow I got on a Google Ads thing, and I realized, I went and checked it out. I'm like, oh, this looks so rad. This is all the stuff I want to do with my online business, but for recruiting. Oh, this guy's in England. All right, yeah. Well, anyway, English recruiting and American recruiting are not the same, and yeah, no thanks. And so that was in January, and I just moved on, and I kept plugging away and trying to figure out how I could make this online business work. I'm sick of failing, and my ego needed it. So a couple of my clients from recruiting, which I hadn't done anything with in almost 2 years, reached out to me and said, hey, we super need your help. We'll pay your engagement fee. And so it was just enough. It wasn't anything earth-shattering. It wasn't anything wow. But it was enough to remind me that I really love recruiting. And I just, if I could have enough jobs coming in to work on, I would be like a happy camper, right? And then I'd be making a lot of money, which I like to do. And I would be helping clients, which I like to do, and it would be good, right? And so anyway, but I still am terrified of cold calling, and there's no other way to make money in recruiting than to pound the phone or hope. And my company's #1 rated on Google for about 7 related sites. It's just about 70 people total look for that business, and 68 of them are candidates. So that does not get a person paid enough. And so anyway, I was just, it wasn't really an option to go back because I didn't know how to fix the problem. And then, lo and behold, I get an email from Andy saying, hey, are you ready to double your agency? And I'm like, well, hell yes, I am. And so I went down this rabbit hole, and I was still skeeved out that he was from the UK, just because, I mean, this is a different world, right? But I literally spent about 5 hours watching the webinars and listening to the podcast, and it was like too good to be true, right? I mean, to be honest, I just kept waiting for the bullshit. And because everybody, I mean, I just drank all the Kool-Aid. I'd spent tens of thousands of dollars on coaches and gotten nowhere. And I've been pretty successful in most of my life. So not succeeding is very frustrating to me. And I didn't want this to be another fucking pipe dream. I just didn't have it in me, right? And so anyway, I spent about 6 hours, and then I had my husband, who is an IT guy and much more risk adverse than I am, watch it and see what he thought. Because if he liked Andy, then we were good. Because Andy and I have similar personalities, right? I talk loud, I talk fast, I leave people in the dust, and I could sense that he was like me. But I also know that I am a hurricane, and unless my energy is channeled, I'm a super destructive force. So I just wanted another opinion, and, you know, Chris liked what he saw too. So I thought, okay, I'm going to schedule that discovery session. And when we got on the phone, I couldn't believe it, but he never tried to sell me anything. And finally at the end, I'm like, hey dude, I don't know what it costs, but if you'll take me, I want in. Like, what do I need to do? Like, what hoops do I need to jump? And he just laughed. He's like, no, we're good. And I mean, I've never really begged somebody to take my money before. And I'm so glad I did. When I started with Andy, I had no job orders. I had, you know, a ton of experience, and I can close the deal, but I didn't have a foundation, and I didn't do any, you know, I didn't know what to do to make it work, and I was sick and tired of working in the wrong direction. And so we did our first 90-day kickoff, and Andy said, you know, hey, here's your goals. And oh my God, it was like a breath of fresh air, because I have a ton of energy and a ton of ambition. But like, I can also be super lazy when I don't know what the next right step to do is. And I can also get into analysis paralysis by trying to figure out exactly what's right for now and for 17 years down the road. And so with Andy, with the 90-day sprint, he's just like, this, and then we'll talk. And it was like, oh my God, off to the races, right? And we just kicked ass. I mean, the first 60 days, we crushed our 90-day sprint. And we started having success, and we started getting job orders, and I totally choked. So embarrassing to say out loud, but I literally panicked. Because then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be working all the time, and I don't want to work all the time. That's shitty, gross. Like, oh my God, like, I got to turn it down. And so then I got like super busy playing house, is what I call it, where you're like doing shit like rearranging chairs on the Titanic. You're like changing when your articles show up. You're changing your social media schedule. You're, you know, changing the wording on your website. And it's all a damn joke, right? Like, it's stupid. It's a stupid use of my time. It's a stupid thing to do, right? Take action, move forward. But I really think I got terrified by the forward progress. And I had about a 60-day sort of like period. And Andy is like, dude, what's up? And I'm like, oh, I know it. And he's like, you know that's BS, right? And I have never had a coach call me on my shit so purely from a place of love. And I get that sounds lame and dorky, but like, I didn't feel shamed. I didn't feel like he thought less of me. He's just like, dude, you're better than this. So whatever your shit is, let's move on. And that was awesome. And I am hard to coach. I can talk myself into and out of anything. I'm really enthusiastic, unless I'm not, and then I just won't do anything. And so I can't really articulate, unless you have like a kind of a crazy personality like me, how nice it is to have somebody who tells you this is what you need to do next. And then when you get like caught up in the bullshit, is like, hey, you know what? I'm calling a spade here, Rikka. You're playing house. And so I don't know what your deal is, but like, if you want to make shit happen, you got to move forward and get momentum. And so Andy gave me a 30-day sprint to help me stay focused. And we've just been cranking. The first 2 weeks was super slow as we were getting everything set up and we were figuring out our metrics. And I mean, the double R is like the cure for people like me who are terrified of rejection. I had 6 sessions scheduled last week for people that want to do business with me. Like, I didn't do anything. I didn't pick up the phone and call. All I have to do is talk to them and talk about our system and how we work. And if they're interested in partnering with somebody like us, or if we're not their boat. But because of all of the work that Andy's helped us do in the beginning, by the time they talk to me, they're sold, right? They're cool that I have purple and teal hair, right? They're cool that I'm not a stuffy white guy who's super corporate. They want somebody who's techie and uses technology to our advantage to cover the market. And it's amazing. And we have hundreds of thousands of dollars of business in the pipeline right now. And I still am terrified of cold calling, and it doesn't matter. And I've always, for my whole life, known that I'm $1 million recruiter. I've known it. I just didn't know how to get there. I thought it was by building a big team, but it turns out that wasn't right for me. And so we're seeing all this progress, and I don't even know. I'm like 120 days in or something. I'm not very far in, and I can see that my business is changing. And the hard part and the exciting part is like Andy is forcing me to grow a business instead of just a job. And I've been an entrepreneur for 13 years, and I've basically built jobs, and they're exhausting. And you can make a lot of money with your business job, but it's not really a business when it requires you to do the work. And Andy is my path to freedom. And I fully anticipate slow traveling the world with my kids, who are right now 6 and 7, in the next couple of years. Andy's going to help me build the business that will continue to pay for the lifestyle I want, no matter if I'm in Thailand or Australia or Africa or right here in the middle of the Midwest of the United States. And that isn't something that happens overnight. But 1 year from when I started with Andy, I know I'll have a business that makes me money without me doing anything. And it'll be a business I love and I'm proud of. But you have to be able to do the work, right? And that's part of it, where if I had stayed stuck in, kind of fear of success, I wouldn't be like trying to schedule in time to shoot this video to tell you guys, like, sign up for Andy. Oh my God, best damn decision I ever made. And I've hired a lot of coaches. If you're a recruiter and you want to own your space, like, whatever you think about Andy, if you think he's like, oh, he's like from the UK, they don't know shit, whatever, he's not a recruiter, he hasn't done this forever, like, all those same thoughts I had, like, shut up and book a call with him, because it will change everything. But I guess only if you do the work. If you're gonna lazy and fuck off, like, then don't bother. Don't waste his time, and don't waste your time or your money. But if you're ready and you're capable of amazing things, pick up the phone, schedule the call, and get on the phone with Andy, because he will see your business in a way that you can't see it, because you can't see the forest for the trees after so long. And if I was a brand new rookie recruiter starting my first firm, this would be like the most amazing investment of all time. I'm an old dog who's learning a ton of new tricks and a new way to build a business that will give me the freedom that I want for my family and my lifestyle. And I'm so grateful, and I can't wait to report back to you on what I've done when I've had more time to execute on these strategies, because this is game-changing stuff. And if you have questions, you want to talk to me about Andy, you can check out buildinggurus.com, and my email is rikka@buildinggurus.com. All right, thanks so much. If you're a recruiter, rock on. I'd love to connect. Recruiters are awesome. And I will be in touch.